I never thought I'd hear the sky crack open. Not like that. Not with the kind of sound that rips through your soul before your ears even register it. But on June 7, 2025, that's exactly what happened. The morning air in Shiraz had been eerily still. Our windows were open. My youngest, Sahar, just 5, had asked me why the birds were so quiet. I didn't have an answer. Then the sirens began. We'd heard them before. Every time tensions rose in the region, we braced ourselves, but the missiles never reached us. This time, we weren't so lucky. We had 30 seconds. 30 seconds to grab what we could, yell for the kids, and run. Reza, my husband, was already shoving water bottles and canned food into the emergency backpack. Underground. Now, he barked, his voice shaking. Our building had a basement parking area that had been retrofitted, barely, as a community shelter. It wasn't much. Concrete walls. No plumbing. A single light bulb powered by an old generator. But it was safer than the third-floor apartment we called home. I grabbed Sahar in one arm and pulled the others, Nilufar, 9, and Rami, 11, with the other. The ground vibrated under our feet. Dust shook loose from the ceiling. We sprinted. Down the stairwell. Past Mr. Devani yelling at his teenage son to move faster. Past a woman in her nightgown holding a cat. The hallway was chaos. Screams. Cries. Panic. And then, just as we reached the basement door, the world above us exploded. The sound wasn't a boom, it was a roar. A screaming metal collapse. Our building shuddered. Lights went out. People fell. Sahar cried out. Reza slammed the shelter door shut behind us. We were in darkness. It took us 2 hours to calm everyone down. By flashlight, we checked for injuries. A man named Hamid had a head wound. Rami helped me clean it with bottled water and an old scarf. We laid him down on a pile of blankets. There were 17 of us in the shelter. 4 families. Some older people. 2 infants. 1 woman 7 months pregnant. Outside, the city screamed. We could hear it all. The whine of jets. The thunder of strikes. Sirens. Crumbling buildings. Fires. No cell service. No news. We waited. The first night underground was the worst. The kids couldn't sleep. Nilufar clung to me like a lifeline. Rami tried to act brave, offering his only biscuit to the toddler next to us. Sahar whimpered, asking when she could go back to her room. I didn't have the heart to tell her our room no longer existed. We had packed emergency food years ago, crackers, nuts, beans. It wasn't enough for 17 people. By the 3rd day, we were rationing everything. 1 can of tuna split between 4 families. A bottle cap of water for the children. My stomach twisted with hunger, but I forced a smile. No crying, Reza whispered one night. They need to see our strength. I nodded. But inside, I was breaking. On the 4th day, 2 teenage boys from another building snuck out of the shelter and came back bloody. Looters, one of them gasped. We tried to find supplies. They chased us. Took everything. Fear gripped the room. If people were stealing from each other now, how long before they found us? Reza pulled me aside. We can't stay passive. If this continues, we need to move. Where? I whispered. We have nowhere. He looked at Rami, who was asleep with his arms around his sisters. We'll find somewhere. That night, a missile hit a building nearby. The explosion knocked the generator offline. We sat in pitch darkness, holding our breath. The baby cried. Someone whispered prayers. I need air, someone muttered. We'll suffocate down here. I checked the emergency door to the stairwell. Jammed. Rubble blocked it from the outside. We're trapped, I said aloud before I could stop myself. On day 6, we got a break. A rescue worker, covered in ash, pried open the shelter door. We're evacuating basements in this block. Quickly. There's a transport convoy at the main square. We gathered what we could. Reza carried Sahar. I held Niloufar's hand. Rami led the way. Above ground, the sun burned down on a city turned to dust. Our building was half collapsed. Windows shattered. Smoke curled into the sky. We walked past corpses. Past a man digging through rubble for his wife. Past a woman cradling a lifeless child. I wanted to throw up. We reached the convoy, 2 buses surrounded by soldiers. We crammed inside. The ride was silent. Just the rumble of wheels over cracked roads and the occasional sob. They took us to a refugee shelter outside the city, an abandoned school gymnasium. There were cots. Water. Rice and lentils. It felt like heaven. But the fear didn't leave. I kept a notebook. I wrote everything. For my children. So they'd remember we didn't just hide, we endured. We stayed at the shelter for 2 weeks. Reza helped distribute food. Rami taught the younger children how to play card games with scraps of paper. Niloufar began drawing again. Sahar started smiling. Hope returned. Then news came, the airstrikes had slowed. Ceasefire talks. Maybe. No guarantees. We debated going back. Our home was rubble. But it was ours. We returned to Shiraz with a small group. The apartment was gone. But the basement shelter still stood. We slept there. Reza found a neighbor who had a radio. We listened to updates. Aid was coming. The borders might open. There was a chance to apply for relocation. We did. 1 month later, we were accepted by a humanitarian program to be resettled. Country not yet determined. But it didn't matter. We had survived. Now, I write this from a temporary apartment in a safer city. Still in Iran. Still unsure. But we have electricity. Food. A school nearby that took in the children. Every time I hear a loud sound, I flinch. But I breathe through it. I read Sahar stories at night. I brush Niloufar's hair. Rami is learning English online. Reza holds my hand when I cry. We lost everything. But we're alive. And that's where we begin again.